All right, Beef, we are joined once again by three-time major winner, six-time Ryder Cupper, and the captain of Team Europe at Whistling Straits, Padraig Harrington. Let's get to Team USA because this is a loaded bunch. This is a group that you saw firsthand, and really all those partnerships really kind of came to fruition at Whistling Straits. And going into this Ryder Cup, if you're Luke Donald and you know you're going up against the teams are pretty much set. Luke Donald pretty much knows exactly the teams. Talking about Jordan Spieth, JT. We're talking probably Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele. What would your strategy be if you were Luke Donald as far as how do you pair guys up against knowing exactly what the U.S. is bringing to the table?
Yeah, it is an interesting one because what Europe wants, what Luke wants, is hopefully to upset some of those partnerships. We want to see a little bit of disarray in the US. We want them to be scrambling. So they definitely, even out of the first session, if they came out of the first session like 2-all, but they split Jordan and JT, if they can upset one of the big partnerships that, the US are relying on, so that hopefully, I'm not saying they will, but hopefully there's enough panic that all of a sudden partnerships are getting changed in the US and there's a bit of stress there. Again, with the Ryder Cup, the one things the players don't like is when things are getting changed up. They love to have a good idea who they're playing with, where they're playing, what, consistency is very important to players because that's what they're used to in their normal tournaments, their normal rounds. They like to be in control. So I think that would be the big thing. If we can get in the US's heads, if we can upset them, get some early points. And it doesn't mean you have to get ahead. It just means you got to win some of the right matches. I think that would be a nice key for Europe. I think with JT, it's just so pivotal. If he plays well, I think Europe, he's the player that he is the Ian Poulter for us. He's the Patrick Reed when it comes to that Ryder Cup. He loves it so much. He's getting in Europe's head, and Europe will certainly put a target on his back to try and get him. If we can take him out of the picture, if we beat him early, and somehow if we beat him early and he gets dropped, the fact he gets dropped will be like, oh, told you so. We've won that one type of thing. So it would be interesting to see how that plays out.
I've got a question for you. If JT's pivotal? Who's the important one for Europe?
Rory. It is just so important. The US are just going to just if they and like we have John Ram. Like John Ram is equally the player, a tough fighter, but he doesn't have a target on his back like Rory. That the hearts and minds of Europe, the fans are with Rory. The US are just Rory. Rory is the Tiger Woods of the European team. The whole of for us when we were going up against Tiger, every player in the group put their hand up if we could play against Tiger because we'd all want because you can't lose. There's nothing to lose when you were going up against Tiger. He's expected to beat you. Going out against Rory, the players know. It's like 2 points. We need Rory. We need Rory to get, if you need everybody to turn up in the Ryder Cup, but if your top players, like if a John and Rory, and obviously they're not going to play together, if they can win 3 to 4 points each, if they won 4 points each, that's 8 points. The rest of the team only have to win 6.5. So you can imagine it's a big thing for the US if they can negate Rory, that kills the momentum and the hearts and minds of Europe. If they can negate John Ram, who is the big star, just John loves it. Like I was there, the intensity, John Ram, the passion he has for this Ryder Cup is phenomenal. So I think those two players are the ones that will be the targets for the US. But Rory is the momentum of the fans. There's no doubt about it.
And there's definitely a couple newcomers on this Team USA team, Wyndham Clark, Brian Harman, two guys that qualified on points. And I'm curious on your strategy, Padraig, when it comes to pairing guys up with Ryder Cups. did you like to typically pair guys with less experience with guys with more experience, or were you fine pairing a Brian Harman and a Wyndham Clark with guys with two guys that haven't played in a Ryder Cup together? Would you ever pair those two together? Would you stick them with somebody who's been in a Ryder Cup before?
Yeah, pairing two rookies together is certainly a strategy that people have looked at. Obviously, they're not feeling under pressure. You get to see how they play. And again, as I said, that first day, it is putting the feelers out to see who's comfortable. So it is a strategy. I would think it would more come down to whether those two players look like they would play well together. You know, if they've got two games that complement each other. And it also comes down to, which is always an interesting dynamic in teams. There are players who will not play with a weaker player. They insist, I want to play with another star, not necessarily star, but they want to play with the informed player. They're just like that. So you have to look at your team and figure out, well, is there somebody who loves the idea of having a rookie and being the boss and being the captain and leading, and that would work well. So it really comes down to the dynamic of the team, how it sits, how, you know, it could be as simple as, are they the same golf ball? You know, are they friends? Do they get on? You know, do their games fit? There's a lot of things, and it will work itself out. But it's certainly not something that is off the table. Play two rookies, let them at it. You know, Brian Harman, like, he could be the stalwart of the Ryder Cup. He is just that tough enough. Like, you know, you don't get to where Brian Harman has gotten golf without, you know, every day he plays, he's giving two fingers to the rest of the world of golf. You know, he just goes out there. He is like,
it's so true, like, though, right?
For all the kids out there, every kid who wants to play golf, they turn up at a pro event and they go and watch Rory or the biggest star. If you want to learn how to play professional golf, go watch Brian Harman. He's a pro. He's a really good professional golfer and just determined and hard, which is perfect for the Ryder Cup. He's going to turn up and he ain't going to try and play like anybody else but Brian Harman. And that could be a very dangerous player when it comes to the Ryder Cup. Underestimate him at your peril.
Is he a player, and have you played in games against the Brian Harman type? Because you see what he did at the Open, and his record inside 10 foot was insane, and obviously he can get that putter really hot. Have you played against someone who's done that to you? Or have you done that? You've probably done that to someone.
Yeah, there's no doubt I've done it in my golf career, especially my amateur golf career. I think I found it very hard to beat anybody I underestimated in match play. So my whole life of match play, I perform much better against bigger names, bigger stars. I get myself all hyped up, as I said earlier. I get excited that this guy is I overestimate and build him up, and that would get me fired up. So I think, you know, like any match, you have to, at this level, you have to bring it. You have to be there. You have to be present. You have to be there. You cannot underestimate anybody. You're not going to get away with it in these days. Like it's a complete fluke if you do. Like you could turn around and say the 12th player is the weakest player in the team, but he isn't a bad player. He's still a great player. So you've got to bring it. And I don't know if anybody would underestimate Brian Harman at this stage. They'd be a fool if they did, because as I said, to do what he's done, he drives it great as well. You know, I know he's a great putter, but you'd be a fool to just think that's all he does. There's more to him, and you know, with a tight golf course, which this is going to be, he could be. I'd be watching him. I'd love to get him out. Actually, well, everybody's going to play the first day, and Brian is probably going to play once. But the thing is, he'd be one of the players that you're going to watch the most. And Wyndham Clark, if they hit the ground running the first day, you'll see them play twice on Friday or twice on Saturday. So they'll play 4 matches in total. They're the sort of players you're looking. Hey, if they show form, we're gonna ride that form out.
I tend to agree with you, Padraig, as well. Those two guys. And I think, too, on the other side, I think Tyrrell Hatton and Matthew Fitzpatrick kind of fall in that same category. If they play well, they could be the reason why that team is the victor. But when you've played over as a captain, you've played Ryder Cups, you've been a captain on foreign soil, what advice are you giving Zach Johnston as he enters Rome here next week?
Yeah, it is an interesting one. How much do you prepare your players for a hostile crowd? I think you have to bring it up. You have to work on it in this modern environment. I know myself with my team, I was particularly, I met with the families of the team because they're inside the ropes. Okay. And it was particularly important for them. I said, look, things are going to be said. You're going to hear things, people shouting. You're going to get upset about it. Don't bring it to the player. He's got enough on his plate. If you're going to bring it to somebody, bring it to the vice captains. Don't bring it to another player's wife or another player's family because they're going to bring it to their player. And all of a sudden you've got two players who are upset that, something inappropriate was said. And as I said, I don't think it's malicious. People thinking they're funny and they've a few drinks on board or whatever, but it can be upsetting and things. So the players have to be aware that, or the families have to be aware that it's going to happen. Don't bring it to the players. The players have to be aware that it's sticks and stones. It's no more than that. Nobody's coming over the ropes. It is golf. It's still a safe environment. It mightn't be fun at times in that sense, but it's safe. So you just get on with it and you play. And it shouldn't affect it, but it seems to have a big effect. The home advantage. I don't have a problem with. I don't particularly like people cheering a bad shot, but I do believe the home fans should get behind their team with such excitement and veer and really make it noisy, really make it loud, really cheer for their good shots, and be quiet enough for the bad shots of the other team. But I don't want cheering for bad shots, but it's going to happen because you got to remember when it comes to the Ryder Cup, it's not necessarily golf fans, it's sports fans. And look, guys, if we go to a football match, we're going to have a few drinks and we're going to start shouting at the field. The difference in a football match is they can't hear you because you're well back from the crowd. Whereas in a golf match, you're literally on the rope line and anything said does cross over. So look, it's a modern game. You have to deal with it. And the players will be prepared for it. Zach has to be prepared for it. We know that there's going to be a few things that are going to get blown out of proportion at times. They're going to be upsetting, but you don't want that to drag the team down in any way.
Well, it sure feels like this is going to be a Ryder Cup for the ages. I just think both of these teams are matched up so evenly and not really sure which way this thing is going to go. And first, Padraig, thank you for your time. And as your way out the door, I definitely want to get a final score prediction from you.
Hey. I am going to give it. I think it's going to be 16-12 to Europe. I'm going for a 2-point win, 4-point win, but 2-match win for Europe. So I'm going for a significant. I think it would be tight enough, but I think Europe has it this time round. I think I'm fascinated, as I said, how far we've come in 2 years.
Right.
2 years ago, we'll never be able to compete with Europe for the next 30, 40 years. And all of a sudden, 2 years down the road, it's in doubt. I've been bullish with 16. If I was betting, I wouldn't go as high as 16, 12. I think I would just go with the 14 and a half, 13 and a half. But it's my place to be bullish.
No, absolutely it is. And as a 3-time major winner and a captain, you have your opinion. And I think this was, for real, Padraig, this was incredible analysis. And I definitely agree with everything for the most part, besides maybe the final score, but who knows? We'll see. We'll have to see.
I think that is the nicest put down you could go. You can have your opinion. we all know how that riles people up these days. So I will stick to my opinion, Smylie. And
I love it.
Yeah, we'll have a beer on the outcome.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, most importantly, and see you over in Rome.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
See you, buddy.
No, fella. See you guys.